AskRed by 1132 Saturday. Realtors of Reddit. What's the most bizarre reason someone decided not to buy a house? Spent around 2 months looking for a property with a couple. They barely qualified for what they were looking for, so each offer was a battle just to get it reviewed. Finally found a house that had a willing seller, good listing agent, and it checked all but one box. That box? The guest bathroom had a shower curtain the wife didn't like. Seriously. Not a glass door or anything permanent, but a removable curtain held up by those bars you twist into place. I even offered to buy them a $200 gift card for Home Depot or Bed Bath & Beyond to help them find something different. Nope. That curtain killed the whole thing for the wife. Needless to say, I fired them as clients immediately after that. Who would keep someone else's shower curtain anyways? ? Former realtor here. Had a couple that wanted to live in a specific neighborhood and wanted a rectangular pool with a small pool house and covered patio. There were exactly 3 houses in the neighborhood that met these requirements. I spoke with all 3 owners and one said they would sell and they were generous on their pricing. Why, you ask, did the couple decide not to buy? The house next door was yellow. I have absolutely no idea what color my neighbors' houses are. I knew someone who didn't buy a house because it had too many closets. Other than that, they thought the house was perfect. After a moment of stunned silence, I suggested they buy the house and close some closet doors and just not use the closet. Wow, too many closets? I would love that problem. We have 3 bedrooms and 3 closets. Nowhere to put any cleaning supplies, coats, step ladders, vacuum or extras oversize of anything, unless it goes in the master closet. Not me, but my dad did some residential and commercial back in the 70s. Lady came in and loved the house until they got to a guest bedroom that was painted yellow. She instantly switched and said, "I can't buy this house because this is yellow." My dad says, "We'll paint it any color you want." Her response drove him to do strictly commercial after that. But I'll know it was yellow once. When I bought my first house, 1 bedroom was hot pink. Like, blinding pink. I painted it a very light blue but continued to call it the pink room. Eventually my partner moved in and he started calling it the pink room. We sold the house after 7 years, still called it the pink room. This story goes back to around 1960, but my parents found it so stupid they told me. A family friend and his young wife found a home they wanted to buy. The wife's mother was going to give them the down payment. They were super excited about the house and said it even had a breakfast bar, that is a counter with bar stools underneath, in the kitchen. The mother said no way would she ever allow her money to be spent on a house with a bar. They tried to explain it to her but ultimately could not buy the house. In my area a lot of houses have bars in the basements, in houses built in the 50s. Most people have them taken out, but I was surprised it was such a common thing. Not a realtor, but I worked in finance at an RV dealership a few years back. I had a couple flying from out of state to look at a brand new $400,000 unit that had specific features they were after and they put a deposit on it. I got them approved and scheduled a time for them to sign. But they backed out at the last minute because they weren't sure their cat would like it. They flew back home. I feel like that is an excuse you give a salesperson to try to avoid discussing the real reason. My family home was bought by a young man in the military and his very quirky wife. They had already ruled out dozens of houses and settled on ours because it had adequate chi flow from the front door. When they saw that the bed was directly under a window in the bedroom, the wife freaked out and said that it was sucking out our brains. Yeah, it's bad feng shui. Front door shouldn't line up directly to the back door. SHLDNT live at the end of a T road. Something to do bed and door and windows. Found a dead body in the bathroom. Apparently a contractor working in the house decided to shoot up before he left on Friday and OD'd. Nobody was in the house all weekend and he was found by Monday afternoon during a showing. Holy fuck. When we were house hunting, my husband and I found a listing for a duplex unit at 69 BJ St. Unfortunately it wasn't the right fit for us, but I hope whoever picked it up is making the most of their raunchy new address. I wouldn't mind the address personally, but I feel like every customer service agent to whom I said my address is 69 BJ Street would rightfully hang up on me, and that would get incredibly annoying. The owners had a clause in the purchase and sales that the buyer would have to guarantee that the resting site of their deceased and beloved cat would not be disturbed forever, and the placard would remain intact. When we bought our current home, we promised the sellers that we'd keep care of their kitty princess's final resting place. We clean off her rock headstone and I say hello whenever I'm weeding that part of the yard. More of a gentleman's agreement, but I take it seriously. How about our bizarre reason for buying a house? We were looking in the Bay Area and our 5-year-old son fell in love with one house because the people selling it had 2 little boys about his age. Our son thought it meant he would get 2 brothers. The people were so charmed by his misunderstanding that they decided we would make good owners. Their children actually left our son their outgrown toys to have something to remember them by. In the hot competitive housing market at the time, it really worked out well. It was 12 minutes from a specific place instead of 10. I once worked for a company that offered to help pay for part of rent if you were within a certain distance of the office. 1 minute outside the range could cost you hundreds of dollars a month. I'm not sure if that was the scenario here, but that would make it a bit more reasonable. While not very bizarre, it's always strange to me when someone won't buy their dream home because of the address number. Honorable mention. During an open house I was hosting, someone pulled sage out of their pocket and started burning it to get Satan out of the black countertops. Related. I was given my choice of 3 different lots when building my home back in 2016. I picked the one that is my birthday. Street number is 513. Birthday is the 13th of May. Back in 2010, when foreclosures were still skyrocketing and prices were dropping, I was the buyer's agent. I had a sale fall through at the closing. Both parties had everything they owned in moving trucks. The seller was bitter about prices, saying he was getting ripped off, etc etc. He removed the chandelier in the 2-story foyer, and he wasn't supposed to, as it was attached and did not have an amendment saying it did not convey. Go to the walkthrough and the buyer immediately said he wants that specific chandelier or he is not buying it. I called the seller's realtor, said she knows, she told him not to take it etc, but the seller said nope, he is taking it. Thought we could close by offering $500 each from our commission since there was no way the seller was going to budge. Buyer said no. Went up to $1,000 each, so $2,000 total, and there is no way that chandelier cost $500. And buyer S. Seller went FSBO, so have no idea what he got. Buyer lost confidence in me, so he went somewhere else, new build spec in a different part of town. It was a very expensive nightmare. Walked into the house and noticed a crystal hanging from the ceiling. In the kitchen there were more. Kinda strange but okay. Went upstairs and all of a sudden they were 10-15 in the hallway. Then we got to the basement. Room in the back corner. Opened the door and turned on the light. Hell's bells, that is when it went to 10. It was a dungeon. We backed out, looked at the realtor and she said it before we did, we are never talking about this. Reminds me of a friends didn't buy story wherein the basement was finished, but was wall to wall black and white tile. And up the walls. And there was a huge black trash bag filled with empty porn VHS covers sitting in the middle. Loved the house. It fit all our needs. We were pumped. As we were leaving, we stood in the porch to take in the neighborhood. The house directly across the street had built shelves into the windows facing the house we were viewing. The shelves were filled with old creepy dolls staring at the house we were looking at. Hundreds of dull lifeless eyes waiting for you to go to sleep so they could kill you. They were sun faded. We noped out of there with our realtor's blessing. It was 20 years ago and it still freaks me out. Why? Just, why? They might have been trying to scare away potential buyers for some reason, or they were just weirdos. Who knows? My elderly parents were looking to buy a house in the city where I live. One house met all of their criteria, and the furnishings inside even matched the furniture in their own home. Unfortunately, they were concerned that the arrangement of the kitchen would make it difficult for someone in the living room to hear the TV if someone in the kitchen was running the garbage disposal. I don't think they really wanted to move. So this occurs in my home with a semi-open floor plan and annoys me to no end, mostly because it happens right behind my head and usually when I'm trying to focus on something. Didn't even consider it, but it is annoying. The bizarreness was more from the sellers and we acted accordingly, but they had let bamboo grow straight through the stone foundation of the 1890 home we were going to buy. Our inspector specialized in historic homes and had never seen anything like it. They also had installed a very nice new HVAC, but cut clear through the main support beam of the house to run ductwork for it. Oh my goodness, the cut support beam is the worst. I would hope this is one of the weirdest reasons our realtor had ever heard. Listing said 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and it seemed decent in the house photos, so we went to take a look. It took us a while to find the half bath. It was basically a wooden outhouse attached to a wall in the basement. No plumbing. At all. It just emptied out onto the floor and everything rolled downhill to the drain in the middle of the room. Nope. Wait, so you would sit on the toilet with your back against the wall, the toilet would empty out by your feet and run across the room? I can't see how you wouldn't get your feet dirty this way. What if you needed to poo? I know they say shit runs downhill, but this is just the worst design I've ever heard of. I didn't buy a house once because the realtor was a dipshit. The house was perfect except for one thing. In the kitchen there was a crack in the middle of the granite. When my wife pointed it out, the realtor told us it raises the value of the home because that's unique and considered art. No other home will have that crack, and he did not say it in a joking manner. For that dumbass statement, we left and didn't buy the home. Ha 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 ha. I fired 2 realtors for similar reasons. I used to work in mortgage lending and we dread working with them. They'll make anything up to sell a house. The reason I didn't buy one house was my realtor was running late, so I was parked in my car near the house I was going to look at on the side of the road for about half an hour. About 2, maybe 3 blocks away in a rural area of Washougal, Washington. About that time this arsehole pulls out of the driveway of the house I'm scheduled to see, pulls up alongside my car, rolls down the window, takes a picture of me with their phone, then flips me off before they peel out the tires and drive off at high speed. Turns out it was the homeowner that was trying to sell. So yeah, I didn't even bother with seeing the inside of what was an otherwise good prospect because I was so irritated at the owner. My realtor later gave their listing agent a call about it because they were annoyed about missing out on a potentially large commission, and I later found out the owner thought I was a druggy tryee. Or, I'm sure his neighbors would have been so happy to have rid of him. Scary clowns hanging from the ceiling. https://imgur.com/a/5c0iunc. Just a note, House Hunters is totally fiction. They shoot after a house is purchased, and the other 2 are houses that happen to be for sale that match the area. I am selling an unconventional home and my realtor was approached to see if they could use my home in the show. I declined because all they would do is point out why not to buy my house. My realtor said she's had clients do this before and they're always upset as it paints a house you're trying to sell in a poor light. And you don't get any money for it. Can confirm friends did this, and we enjoyed the episode because we got a good look at their house without flying 2,000 miles. This reminds me of UK ghosts when she had to keep turning down houses because they had ghosts in them. You know what they say, if there are ghosts everywhere you go, you are probably the ghost. House was pretty normal from the outside. Normal kitchen. Some kitschy cosmetic stuff like a 20-foot wall in the living room with a tropical beach scene print on it. Like a giant stylized photo like Carl from Aqua Teen has in his bedroom, whatever. But then the downstairs bedroom was carpeted except the center of the room where they had the bed was tiled and the tile extended over to a shower. Not in a bathroom, it was just a shower in the room. We turned around to leave and noticed the inside of the door was studded, padded leather and had a peephole that looked in from outside the door. I assumed sex thing but who knows, it was weird and just too much. Pass.